Welcome to the podcast of School Beyond Limitations. In this podcast, you will learn how to guide your child through their school life with the intention to help them find their unique essence that will allow your daughter, your son to live a fulfilled and meaningful life. Yes, welcome everyone to the SBL podcast, and I'm really very excited today because today I have the possibility and the big opportunity to talk to one of our current students who's been with us for now, it's her third year, I think. And so she has experienced the SBL for a while, and she is in her let's put it that way, in her late A-level studies. And I welcome Sophie to this session.
Hello. Thank you for having me. I'm very excited.
Yeah, Sophie, let's just dive into, the aspect of experience with SBL. Would you maybe like to start from the beginning and by telling us a little bit why you chose SBL in the first place and what made you choose SBL and School Beyond Limitations over other possibilities out there?
Yes, for sure. So initially, me and my family decided in 2023 to leave Germany, where we lived our whole life. Me and my sister went to an ordinary German school, and we moved to Indonesia, to Bali in the first place. And through that process, we asked ourselves multiple questions on how we want to organize things. And a major priority for me and also my sister was to continue doing school and to receive education. So yeah, the biggest point was to find a school that can make this happen whilst being away from Germany and from home. And it was pretty clear from the beginning on that we want to transition to an online school instead of going to an physical school in the new country we live, because we always knew that we want to travel. We don't want to stay in one place all of the time, and always leaving school and getting to a new one can be very complicated and difficult, and you never really find yourself grounded. And that's why we thought, perfect, online school. That's the perfect solution, because it's a school that can travel with us, and we can build an environment and grow and develop with our education and with facilitators and other students whilst changing place constantly. And then we started the research on online schools, and there are multiple out there, but SBL stood out from the beginning on. We very much like the aspect that it was an international school, and we would have to talk in English all the time, as it is very handy when you travel in the whole world, because you have to speak English all the time. And then learning it through your education was just the perfect fit. And then, yeah, I think the process was that we kind of organized a first meeting with you, Martina, to get this introduction in. And that's when it all started. And from the beginning on, we knew SBL, it's perfect for us and we want to stick with it.
Oh, that's nice. So it really came from your heart, right? I remember
Yeah.
the first meeting when we met with you and your sister and your parents at the time. And what struck me and what still makes me reflect a lot is, the importance that you give to education. You mentioned the importance of education in your introduction now 3 or 4 times even. So what does education mean to you, and what were you looking for exactly when you think in terms of education? Because you didn't just want to have a school, you wanted more than just that, right? So
Yes.
what were your big wishes for a potential school that you want to attend, and what does education mean in your view?
Mhm. I happily grew up in an environment, and my parents also really stressed the importance of education to us from the beginning on, because it is really a mindset. We view education as a privilege, and we are so glad and grateful for it to have access to it, while others in the world don't. And that's why it was so important to us to continue it whilst exploring the world. And SBL is just, it really embodies everything we wanted it to be. Because, this is not just you go to school and you just have to listen to the teacher for hours and hours and nothing really comes out of it. At SBL, yeah, we learn to develop on our own, and we kind of grow independently, but still in an environment that is so friendly and welcoming and like cooperative in the classes. We are multiple students, we have multiple teachers, and this is really a great base for learning, because we all bring in our personal aspects and our like perspectives and our opinions, and of course the facilitators, the teachers, they bring in their profession at the end of the day. I mean, that's what they're like there for. They have a huge amount of knowledge, which is so admirable, really. And then they bring this knowledge to us students, and then we can decide kind of what we do with it. Like in those classes, we discuss it as a group. Everyone shares their opinion on different topics, and then we can go even further in our studies and spend more time on researching, on making projects. But at the same time, we have the opportunity and the time really to focus on the stuff we like and we are interested in. And to have just this opportunity is so much more than we ever expected, and it is so much more than we were used to from our old German school. So this is really why SBL, compared also to other like online schools, is so special to us, and we would never want to change that, because here we have opportunities to really grow and not just to follow like an ordinary path. And I think it's really great, and we're so glad that we discovered that, because we never knew that it was like possible.
Sophie, that's exactly, of course, what we aim to do, within SBL, because we always say, it's important to us that we actually see the student and see the essence of each student and help this essence come to the surface. But what I'm also wondering, because of course, I'm living SBL on a daily basis. I know exactly what it is, but it's not so easy for somebody outside to understand and what it means, because you talked about, it embodies everything we are talking about, and is there a very concrete example? What is different, exactly different, within SBL in comparison to other schools? And we don't want to, criticize any other school, but we want our students, as you rightly said, to pursue their own calling and to find their own way and to co-construct knowledge together. So out of your perspective, what is the big, big, big difference?
It's an incredible question, and there's so many answers because there's so many positive aspects. I think a really big one is that SBL creates a comfortable environment. That means that I'm not afraid to raise your hand and to answer a question, because you fear that you might get judged, whether it's from your teacher or from other like students. It happened to me quite a lot a few years ago when I was on SBL, that I just was very introverted, and I wouldn't raise my hand and answer because I don't know if it was right. But here at SBL, there is no right and wrong. It's everything counts. Like you can confidently say what you think, and nobody is going to judge you or just talk negatively about you, or even, I mean, I don't know what other people think, of course, but you get the feeling from everyone in the school that you're welcome and that you are a valuable person that deserves to be celebrated. And this is like a main thing for me that is just so incredible, and I'm so grateful every day, because it changed me in terms of like self-esteem and confidence, and now I'm the first one to raise my hand, because I know it's not about right or wrong. It is about what I think about it, and it's welcome what I think. And even if I say something that goes into a different direction, then we keep talking about this topic instead, because that's life, and you come along different paths, and then you just move on, and you just discuss, and everything, the whole like creative bubble gets bigger and bigger, and everyone is excited about it, and it's so comfortable, and I have a smile every day when I'm in class instead of a worrying face.
That's beautiful. And, I think this is exactly what you said. It's about the co-creation. It's about the understanding that each person brings something to the table, and maybe not everything, but something. And in correlation and in combination, you create a new, perspective towards what is discussed in class. And there is no hierarchical, approach to anything. And each information, each opinion, each thought, each idea is welcome because of that, because we know that only together we can actually then enrich and be enriched respectively. Is there any other feature that you would say is different from what you have experienced in the past?
Yes, of course. I would say I have two actually I want to talk about. The first one is the class itself and the students. Our classes are very small. We are 8 students when the class is full, plus then one facilitator. And I think this creates a very nice environment where the value is more on like the quality instead of the quantity. And this allows us just for everyone to shine bright, like individually and equally. So, I mean that if we have a question, for example, like one of our daily like habits, the journaling, we have a journaling question, and then actually everyone can share what they wrote down to answer this journaling question. If you imagine a class of like 30 plus students in it, not everyone will share because it takes too long time, and we won't discuss everyone, we won't listen to anyone. It's just a whole bunch of just things that we talk about very like not into depth, really, like into depth. And in SBL classes, we do listen to everybody, and then, as I said before, then we kind of continue talking about it. And it's just I just always have the feeling with every one of my classmates that we very like appreciate each other with that. We listen then to the answer of the journaling question, and then I feel heard, I feel seen, and then again this like confidence builds up, and my creative thoughts can even like be up there even more. And also, like, the second thing I wanted to mention is the facilitators themselves, because the like relationship I have with these like people that are so smart, and I don't know how to describe it, but I really look up to them. And like a few years ago, like in the old school, you would be a little bit scared maybe of adults, or you would not like try to really talk to them, or it's just a completely separate person, and you have nothing to do with them except from listening to them and staring at the wall. And now I have these beautiful relationships with these adults in terms of I can say anything, and I know that they will care about me and about my thoughts and about my challenges, about my problems. They will try to find a solution, and they will treat me just as like importantly as they would every other student. There are no preferences. There are no like, this is my favorite student and I hate you. No, it's everybody is so loved in a way that they are appreciated and they are listened to, and they are supported endlessly. And I think this is really something you have to get used to it. When I first joined SBL in the first year, it's so strange because suddenly everyone is so nice to you and everyone wants only the best for you. Whereas like in my old school, nobody really cared. And this was such a cool experience. And it was the first time that I really, except for my parents, but like the experience that adults really just look out for me and they want to help me with everything they have. And I think it's so rare nowadays, which is very sad, but I'm so grateful that it still happens here.
And you're right, that's certainly one of the most important features at SBL, alongside others, because it's all about first building relationship and understanding the respective others so that the person feels seen and also safe and not judged, and just, be understood also, that's important. You also mentioned about the journaling that is a built-in feature in SBL, and the journaling is something that I also, I believe is so important because it helps you really dive deep, and especially if there is then the forum and also the space to listen to one another, because it helps you opening also other ways of seeing, looking at life, because life skills are kind of encouraged to be developed through that as well. So, would you be able to share what kind of journaling questions there may be? Because I could just journal about how do you feel today? Of course,
Mhm.
yeah, of
Mhm.
course. But just to understand the intention of the journaling, it's not just there to, of course, it's also there to make people write and use handwriting skills and all of that as well, especially with the younger ones, but also with the older ones. But there are also other intentions that are met by journaling. So, what do you see as a student happening through this feature of journaling, and how deep is this feature going?
Yes, I absolutely love the journaling part of our daily habits. It's really like maybe my favorite part because it oftentimes it is linked to like the weekly theme or the daily like topic. If we're, for example, talk about art, then the journaling might be connected towards that. So in terms of like what does art mean to you, or do you think there is such thing as bad art? Um, or if you're talking about writing skills, like why do you think writing is important? Not just like handwriting is beautiful, but like why should people think that like writing really is something you should improve? And I know my answer to this was like because it shows your knowledge and your intellect and how you communicate and how do you like kind of put your thoughts into words, and it really shows like how a person is personality wise. And these questions are they're so important because they go deeper than just like yeah, how are you feeling today? As you said, it's like if you talk about journaling, that's the thing that comes up into your mind, like how was my day going? What was my morning like? Of course, these questions are also great, but our journaling is it goes in so many ways. If we're talking about politics, they can come up so many things from this, like how do you think this and that event that happened currently affects you? It's not only it's out there, it can affect you. And then when everybody shares their thoughts and their feelings about it, it just opens up yourself emotionally and like also psychology wise. It's just you when you're encouraged to speak up about so many different things and dig deeper into various kinds of topics where you don't even think about like in your daily life, then this is a great opportunity to challenge yourself and your own thoughts, but also like learn how to express it. Because when you have to write it down and you actually have to put your thoughts into the words you're speaking then out loud, then this is a whole different thing than just not doing it or just thinking it.
I could listen to you, very constantly because it's so interesting, and also the way, you talk about the different journaling questions and lots of other things. But I'm also aware of time. However, also try to find out whom you think SBL would be the right school for. What do you
Mhm.
think? Is it for everyone? Is it not for everyone out of your perspective?
In general, I can say that SBL has no limitations in terms of who it is perfect for or not. Anybody can join, and it's possible for everybody to really fit into the SBL community. There's no limitations, no class division or anything. However, I think it's very important to talk about the aspect that if you join an online school and follow the structure SBL follows, you have to show like independence. You have to show self-discipline in order for it to work. It's not a one-way street from the teachers or the facilitators to us. It's a two-way street. Like you have to kind of give back in terms of punctuality, like come to your classes on time, engage in the classes, engage with your topic, with your classmates, keep up the communication. This is so important because we are an online school. We do not have a physical building where you go in every day. No, you have to keep up your conversations. You have to meet up with your facilitators, whether it's in mentoring sessions, class, or afternoon classes. And especially when it comes to exams, it's pretty much a self-study. Of course, you get incredible support from afternoon classes and facilitators, but in the end, you have to encourage yourself to do it. So that's the main thing I would say if you consider joining SBL or just transit into like an online school. Be aware that it's not only I'm sitting in front of my screen and that's it. No, you have to take responsibility, but that's also the joy of it, really.
You just said it's the joy of it, right? It's
Yeah.
engagement. And if I really show engagement, then everything is possible and limitations are not even existent. I also believe that. But as you rightly said, it's not a one-way street. It's both ways, and you need to put some kind of time into it, and you need to be open to actually open up towards the others as well. There is time, of course, and everyone takes, each person the way they are. And I think this is patience is part of our features as well. But if there's nothing coming from the other side, it will not work. Absolutely not. But if it works, and if we go gradually in that direction, then the horizon is not our limit. And you mentioned something also before, it's an online school. Yes, it is. And yet we are trying to do very much in order to also meet the other aspects, such as getting together, the social part, and also the global citizen part by traveling around, because we organize residential weeks which happen 3 times per year, where people can meet, and not only can, should be meeting, for different reasons. And yeah, let's talk about the residential weeks first. In your experience, what do the residential weeks mean to you, and how do they add to the value of what SPL offers online?
Yes. It's so cool. I get so excited because uh, residentials are it's really crazy. When we first heard about them, like 3 times in a year you meet up in like different countries, like how insane. This is so cool and so crazy, and never have we ever heard of that something like this happens. Like not even in like a normal school. So that SBL has created such a cool thing is so incredible. And it's also so important for so many reasons to join these. I can remember the feeling when I first saw like all the facilitators and you and the other classmates like in real life. You're just like, oh my God, this is so it's strange in a way because for the first time, like in real life, you can see like how tall is everyone, how short maybe, but you also see like your face and the smiles, and the community itself is so lovely and so caring. And when you meet the people, the whole feeling is so different in a much like better way, even better than in class. And when everybody like talks to each other and conversations come up and you actually spend time, like quality time, from like talking hours and hours in real life, it makes such a difference. And you get to know each other so like well, and like in such a short time, really, because the residential is like 5 6 days. It's not a long time, but it's such an intensive period that it's really crazy what can happen in this time. And when you do activities together and you explore things and you talk and talk and talk, which is incredible, it's just so cool. It's an unbelievable feeling because it's just the completely opposite to the online classes, but then it's so cool. It's really so cool.
Can you make an example, Sophie, of one of the residential weeks that you took part in, and what we did, and on top of course, meeting and seeing how short and tall
Yeah.
somebody is, and which kind of, you know, because indeed, I don't know, in my view, and of course, you can certainly argue against it if you don't see it that way. But in my view, even the online sessions, they allow us to really connect so well with our students already. There is this kind of feeling, wow, friendship is established, before you even meet. And then you meet, and then you see these wonderful human beings in front of you, and you do lots of things together. So I would really be very curious to hear, a little bit more about a concrete example.
Yes, for sure. And absolutely, I totally agree on the part that we even online can create like crazy bonds and so such intense bonds. Um, I remember my residential in Spain, in Malaga. It was a very beautiful residential. I think it was a very nice location. We were straight at the beach, and I shared the room with my friend group I got to meet on my first residential. And this is also the cool thing. You get to meet people and then you sadly have to leave like each other for a period of time. But when you see each other again and when you meet again, it's just double the amount of love that just comes up, and like spirit and passion. And we stayed at a big hotel, and we had all like my friend group had like hotel room, and then next to each other we had our like rooms. And it was very cool because we were all in the same building, and then but still we had like separate like spaces where we could go back, where we had our stuff. And then the activities we did all together. I remember we went to Little Hollywood, which is what it was very cool, like the Western style kind of like place with animals, and we just all went there by the bus and we spent the time there. And they even had like a swimming pool, and you got the free time to like walk around on your own, but still you were never alone. There were always people around you, and you know everyone, and every time you meet somebody, it's just pure happiness. And we got to explore the place, yeah, spent some time there, um, did a little like swimming in the pool and watched the animals and the Western show. And when we got back to our hotel, we again had some like free time to refresh up, and then we had dinner all together, which was also a very good and like a good quality. And then in the evenings, we had the options to do different activities, whether it's like playing games or go to the beach to play beach games, um, or just hang out with your friends. Like I think many people always think, oh, like an online school is very strict, or if you meet up, it's all very like tagged. But you do have free will, and of course, we engage all together in activities. But you just can hang out because we're all just normal people that do normal stuff, and we enjoy our lives. And I think this is such a great thing that you can participate in so many things with so many different people also, but still get to enjoy the time with your loved ones there.
So what you're saying, there is a kind of planned activities, and at the same time there's the freedom of co-create
Yeah,
and just do it together also with your respective facilitators so that they just know where you are,
yeah,
and that we basically we feel as a team all together rather than here there are the students and there are the
yeah.
facilitators. Would you agree on that?
Yes, totally. And also what I mean when like hanging out or just talking, facilitators are always around. I had the greatest conversations with these like adult people, which is not the usual. Like you would think, yeah, teenagers are by themselves and then the adults there, but no, it's like a shared environment and everybody's together. And our facilitators are like the most fun people alive and the most smart people alive, and every time you talk to them you just feel incredible, and that way they're always with us, and it's not a bad thing. It lightens up the situation.
There is one more feature that I thought would make sense for you to go into a little bit more depth as well, and that's because you talked about the small class
Mhm.
size, so that you really have the opportunity of listening to one another and really co-creating, as you mentioned it before. There is yet another feature, which is mentoring. So,
Mhm.
what is mentoring all about, and how valuable do you rate mentoring if you had to rate it?
Mhm. Yeah, so mentoring are like these one-to-one sessions with you and your facilitator. And we have been doing this thing of changing like each week, like one week you have one facilitator, the other week the other, and then it's constantly like changing. That way you get like both of like the best of both worlds. And it's really great because this hour is made to only like focus on you and yourself, your needs, if you need help then you get the support for it. Just discussing how life is and how the academics are, and if you're feeling all right, if you're feeling comfortable, if you need support in any kind of way. It can be exam related, but it can also just be holistically. And sometimes we get into like lofty conversations about anything in the world, where we just share our different opinions. And then it's like the same thing that happens in class. Your perspectives are just widened so much through these conversations. And I think it's very valuable. It's like the most valuable thing you can have. Because, of course, in class, it's also good and it's like a very good opportunity to focus on like you and your needs. But still, if you have like a one-to-one session, you can be so productive and so efficient with everything you do.
And SBL is a holistic school where we really cater for, the development of the entire human being, so that human beings realize that they can be self-confident and, like you'd said before, and learn life skills, learn, skills around financial literacy, entrepreneurship, lots of different things. And also, of course, we look into the goals of each student, and you are certainly one of those students who are also very much into doing very well in academics as well, and you are in your late phase of completing your A levels. You've done your IGCSE very successfully, and you've started doing your A levels very successfully already, and now you are going forward in this direction. So, would you say, from an academic point of view, because it's different than in a
Mhm.
conventional school. And you mentioned that you have to be self-directed as well because it doesn't go alone. You have to bring your own efforts as well.
Mhm.
But would you say that you are supported within SPL also to do well in the academics, or what you?
No, totally. I would say I wouldn't have achieved the things I achieved without the support from like SBL, the facilitators, or the other students. Of course, it is very much like self-directed because in the end you're the one like remembering your content of your student textbook. But still, in order even to get into a position where you have a plan in your mind, like a study plan. What will you do? When will you do it? You have to submit your past papers, your essays, if you're writing something, to your facilitators in order to take feedback from them, because this feedback is so valuable for your whole study experience, because they are teachers, they know what they're doing, and they are perfect at what they're doing. And if they give you feedback, you can work with it so much better. If you would say you would do it all alone without getting any feedback, you wouldn't get the results that you are aiming for necessarily. I'm sure maybe people can still achieve anything. But still, for me, it was so important to constantly stay in contact with my facilitators in every subject I took an exam in, because without them, I wouldn't have done it. Yeah.
Beautiful, Sophie. And now this is a conversation that we
Mhm.
didn't plan ahead of time. It just
No.
unfolded. And now I would like you to think in the following terms. Imagine you wanted to promote, so to speak,
Mhm.
SPL to the outer world. Only a few words, what are the things that come to your mind where you would say, well, this is it, and this is what I can say from the bottom of my heart
Mhm.
about SPL?
Mhm. I think, first of all, don't be afraid of change. Everything will work out. SBL helps you to grow and to develop in such a beautiful way, and you will know like your sense and your purpose of life so quickly, and you will make great friends. You will have amazing relationships with everybody involved, and you will discover so many things about yourself and your abilities, but also about others and how to like to treat others and how to communicate with others in such a deep level you, in my opinion, would never have if you just follow the completely like unaware ordinary kind of way. And it's so a loving community. It's so incredible what you, Martina, built, and SBL still keeps up with everybody that is involved. And I think it's just so, I really love it. I just love it here, and I wouldn't have changed anything in terms of like academically school experience. I'm so glad we made a decision to join SBL when we moved like out of Germany, and I wouldn't go back, and I wouldn't change my progress that I made. Um, but I'm very happy about how I am now with the help of SBL.
Wow, Sophie, I don't have anything to add here because we are just happy and delighted to see young human beings like you are developing in such a wonderful way and showing the beautiful essence that they have within, and listening to them because, at any community celebration where the entire school community is present and students like you present something, or share something, their thoughts, their poems, their lyrics, or whatever it is, it's very enriching. So you enrich SPL as well. And thank you for being with us. And thank you
Thank
for
you
the
so much.
podcast as well.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed it.
At School Beyond Limitations, we support our students find their unique essence. Feel free to share the content of this podcast with other parents. We are here to show that your children can indeed bring their unique essence into life. So, reach out to us if you think that this is what you'd like your daughter, your son to experience, or apply through our website. Also, leave your comments, your questions, or your review about the podcast. Share it with others. And as you know, sharing is caring.